Welcome back to the Two Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor Everett, and we're today going to talk about the NBA All-Star Game festivities, the weekend, my thoughts around what happened Saturday and Sunday specifically, where I think the game is headed a little bit, and then the second half of the pod, before we get closed up, I will talk about my experience in Louisville at Duke, my first time in Cameron Indoor. Was very fortunate to be able to be on the ground in press row and be able to see this Duke team that's starting to get hot at the right time. They're 3-0 in their last three. They've got three really tough games coming up here against Virginia Tech at home, NC State at home, and then North Carolina in Chapel Hill. So got a couple of really cool comments I got from Derek Lively, Tyrese Proctor, Dariq Whitehead. I want to talk about some of that stuff, just as well as my experience first time being at Cameron Indoor. Thank you to Phil Dexter for the opportunity for being able to provide that. Before we do go through all of that stuff today, don't forget SeatGeek is the presenting sponsor of the Two Pointers Podcast. You guys get a discount code 2pointers, TWOPOINTERS, code 2pointers. Link in the description below takes you to download SeatGeek, $20 off your first purchase. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring this episode. So, the NBA All-Star Game. The game itself I want to talk about in a few minutes, but just in general, the festivities around Friday night, I'm going to say upfront and honest, I care about the All-Star Game more than most. But what I saw Sunday was horrible. And Friday in general, you know, your celebrity game and your, I don't even remember now, what do they do on Friday? The celebrity game is what I watch and what I care about. I believe it's like the Rising Stars game, right? The rookie, sophomore, whatever they used to call it. It's neat. It's cool. Those guys at least care a little bit more because it really is a proving ground for some of them. I would like to see the implementation of, I know they have the G League game on Sunday afternoon or whatever. I would like to see the G League implemented into that Rising Stars game a little bit more, getting to see Scoot Henderson in that regard against like your second-year players of the world, right? That would be really, really fun to watch. Nothing against the game being on Friday, but if you're trying to market your rising stars, putting them on Friday after the celebrity game, I just don't think is very productive. In general, though, I enjoy the celebrity game. I think it's really fun. I think Friday and how they retool some of that might be a little bit different. Even if the Friday game is the only thing going on as the celebrity game, then great. But I don't think there's enough reason to have the Rising Stars game on Friday night. Saturday, the skills competition is a snooze fest. At this point, I honestly think we should just get rid of it. I liked the old format better. I liked how they implemented. I know Chris Bosh and Dominique Wilkins and some other guys were on some teams in the past. It's cool, but unfortunately for the sake of Giannis' wrist injury, the game before the All-Star break, otherwise he would have been in it. That would have been neat, but otherwise, if it's not the Giannis's or the Antetokounmpos, I guess, playing there, Drew Holiday had to be the replacement there. You know, you had your rooks. I believe you had the hometown team. Like last year, the Cavs team won. This year, the Jazz team won as well. So, whatever. I don't particularly care about the skills comp. I had a really good time talking about other things and not really even paying attention to it on the playback TV stream. But I don't know. I'm just overall not a huge fan of how the skills competition is just kind of put at the beginning. Not that the Rising Stars game, not that there's enough time Saturday, to be able to play the dunk contest and the three-point contest, but maybe do that Friday and then do the Rising Stars Saturday, but then you're taking away Saturday, the most viewership time. I don't know. It's really tough. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you what a perfect fix is for this event. That is not what I'm doing. What I'm just telling you is my opinion on where I think they're lacking, and I think the skills competition is the first thing. Now, the three-point competition, I think it was really good. I think it lives up to the expectation. I'm just more of a traditionalist when it comes to this stuff. I don't really care about a starry three-point ball. I think it's stupid. I'm barely okay with the extra money ball rack to give the the opportunity to blow out the previous record. In the past, your Larry Birds, your Craig Hodges, those type of guys. Not giving them the same opportunity to keep their records when we're adding three-point balls and we're adding the multiple money ball rack and whatever. I'm fine with the money ball. I think it's just, why not just do the traditional old school stuff? I cared about it the same if they added the starry ball. I'm not excited about it, and I think it's kind of ridiculous to be able to create that kind of imbalance. But you got to see, then again, you get to see 31 points from Tyrese Halliburton, so it's kind of cool, right? But I think Damian Lillard deserved it. I think it was a really, really cool opportunity for him because he, I think, has competed before and hasn't won it, and this was finally his time. But I was a Buddy Hield guy. I was all in on Buddy Hield. I really thought he could get it done. I was really excited for him. I think it was his moment. I think his shot also fits the game really well and his release and that kind of thing. So I was really excited. I just was really in pulling for Buddy Hield. Nothing really crazy otherwise there. But Damian Lillard did have a great shooting performance and deserved it. Why Julius Randle was there, I hate to drag him through the mud, but I'm sorry. That was just the dumbest replacement decision ever for Anthony Simons. Julius Randle looked awful out there, and it just unfortunate. I hate that the hometown kid, Lauri Markkanen, didn't do any better, but you can't always mold those stories perfectly every time. So I enjoyed the three-point contest. I think it's in a great place. I think it, honestly, right now, other than we'll talk about the dunk contest in just a second, I do think it was starting to be like the highlight of the weekend as the dunk contest has kind of gotten worse since basically the Levine Gordon, I guess, would have been the last one that would have been any good. So where we are with that, I'm either neither here nor there, right? I think the three-point contest is good. I think it has a place. How they do it and how they change it, I'm going to be interested to see because I'm just not a fan of this three-point ball. The dunk contest, however, on the other hand, did Mac McClung save the dunk contest? Let me know in the comments below or tweet at me at 2pointers on Twitter or link in the description below to take you to the page to let me know on Twitter. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think some of his dunks were really good. I'm not going to say that any of them were legendary or groundbreaking, but yeah, he brought some excitement back. It was really neat to see a small point guard, we're going to call him carefully, a small point guard, pull off these kind of dunks. A guy that was on who's been rocking in the G League, but just now got his 10-day contract with the Sixers. So to be able to give him the same opportunity that someone else was, I think he was very deserving of the opportunity. I think it was very obvious why, right? Trey Murphy also had a couple of decent dunks. I am really disappointed in Trey Murphy, though, because I saw a video. I was given an opportunity to see a video of something Trey Murphy was working on where he was basically going to shoot a three-pointer, bank the three-pointer in, catch the ball as it's coming down from the net, and either windmill it or through the leg dunk it. Like, that's nuts. That would have given Mac a competition. And honestly, it was closer than people think, at least based on the scores. But Mac was definitely the dunk contest winner, without a doubt, unfortunately, for Trey. But Jericho Sims, I mean, the kind of power he offered, but doing the Vince Carter dunk twice and then trying to do it with two arms and stuff, it is what it is. And then Kenyon Martin, I'm sorry, I can't remember a memorable dunk he had. So, I think the lineup was okay. I really do. I think Trey Murphy is definitely your athletic NBA pro guy. Mac McClung is definitely a more dunk contest, just that was what he was meant to do for that. I really enjoyed it. Do I think he saved the dunk contest? No. I think the dunk contest needs some good competition next year. Ja has already said he will never do it. Zion has said next year, if he's healthy, would be the year he would want to do it. So we'll see what happens. We'll put a bookmark in that. And then Sunday. I, for the sake of having this conversation, as well as enjoy the All-Star game historically, at least, that was one of the worst things I'd ever watched. And there was at one point, I don't care about the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum going at each other. Also, though, shout out to Jason Tatum for 55, 56, whatever it was, breaking Anthony Davis' scoring record. But those two going at each other, if I can find the screenshot, I'll put it on the screen. But for those two to go at each other, and guys literally were just standing around as if the ball wasn't in play, I don't care. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see the All-Star game be fun and be cool and have those kind of moments. But, like, it should still look like a team basketball event. It should still look like these guys are, passing to each other. And, the Elam ending is supposed to play defense. I'm such a big supporter of the Elam ending, and I love that it was implemented in the All-Star game. And I appreciate Adam Silver and what he's done to implement Nick Elam's ending, but shout out to Nick Elam, guest on the show. But man, like, it's so it was awful to watch. I mean, like the over hit by 35 points. The over was like 320 something, and it hit by over 35 points. Like, that does not make any sense to me. And I understand when you have the best players on the floor, people are going to score at a higher rate. 3-point shots are going to be put up in the way today's game is played, but the way that game looked and the way it was stagnant at one point, I drifted off and was working on other things. I was working on my big board. I was looking at other things. I never left the screen. I never like changed the channel by any means, but like I was able to watch every second of it, and I hated it. Honestly, it was one of the worst. It was one of the worst just basketball games I've ever watched in my life, and I know how the All-Star game is. Don't come at me about that. I get it. I just think of the way that they played and the way it looked, and just the guys, like you could tell from the moment the ball tipped, the guys didn't care. I mean, Jokic made comments about he doesn't fit the All-Star game, plays the game the right way, whatever. Like he makes exciting passes and rebounds and can get the ball moving again, and like he does fit the All-Star game, whether people disagree with that or not. But it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for anybody. And then I don't know if LeBron had this ghost injury or whatever, but I didn't really see the play where he got hurt, and I'm really confused on whether he was actually hurt or not. But I memean, the Lakers need to make a playoff push. Need to make a playoff push down the stretch, so I don't blame him for not returning in the second half. 5-1 in All-Star games since the new format was implemented for LeBron. Great. I love Giannis for really caring. It seems like he cares and buys into this stuff with the winner, chicken dinner comment, holding up the trophy. But obviously he couldn't play. He pulled the Chris Paul last year where he got subbed out after the first play. So, I mean, it's the All-Star game, right? You want your best players to play. Technically, that didn't happen. The two captains literally only played a combined half of basketball. So it is what it is. I'm really happy for Jason Tatum, but the All-Star game, I don't know the perfect fix. I don't have the perfect fix. Honestly, at this point, get rid of it for the in-season tournament or implement some one-on-one tournament instead. Like I'm sick of the All-Star game. It looks awful. Now, will I cover it and will I go there and have a great time? Absolutely, but the actual game itself and what we want as the product, if that's going to be the thing that like you want dunks, if you want all this crazy cool stuff in the game, great, but like still incentivize it a little bit. Like find a way for these guys to at least look like they care. Even if they don't care, there's no way that you're going to make it perfect. But as of right now, you can tell that the buy-in from the players is at an all-time low. Don't get me started on the draft pre, because at this point, sure, if they had two jerseys ready, I'm very thankful the NBA didn't rig it, but I'm not shocked if they did, because you had to go some way or somehow and try to get those jerseys ready and have the photo ops and stuff like that, have them in their jerseys. I know we gave them an hour, right? But I don't know. It was drawn out too long. They could have done it in 30 minutes. It ended up being an hour. And honestly, I like the TV, with the concerts and stuff like that with Post Malone. I'm a big Post Malone fan, but honestly, get rid of it. Like, we don't need it. The in-arena stuff, great, or you want to do it at halftime, whatever. The dancers, when they're coming out and announcing the All-Stars, I don't want people dancing on the stage when I'm trying to see DeMar DeRozan get announced as an All-Star starter for the 7th time, or an All-Star in general for the 7th time, or when Giannis comes out as an 8-time All-Star. Like, I want to see those guys come out of the tunnel. I don't want to see the camera show me, like, 5 dancers on the screen. Like, I just don't. It was stupid, everything about it, and I didn't like it. And sorry, call me an old man. I don't care. But it was just not enjoyable, and I hated every second of it. So enough about that. I want to be a little bit more positive. So All-Star game, obviously, all in all, I would give this All-Star weekend. I think Salt Lake City was very happy. The atmosphere seemed great. Salt Lake City has not had an All-Star game since, I want to say, I think it was 98, when Jordan won MVP and all that stuff his final year. So I would probably give this All-Star game a 5 out of 10. Mac McClung saved it. Damian Lillard, big star winning three-point contest. Sure. I wasn't impressed. 5 seems nice. I would go with a 5 out of 10 because the atmosphere seemed really awesome, even though Shaq and Charles were very clear they didn't like Salt Lake City. But whatever. Seemed like a fun place. They seemed really excited to have the game, and I'm very happy for them. Now, Indianapolis next year, we'll see what happens. Some star-studded guys, probably a couple Pacers in the game once again. Tyrese Halliburton back in the three-point contest probably. So you're going to have a lot of really cool stuff there in Indianapolis next year. I'm hopefully going to be there. I would love to be there next year. But we'll see what happens. All right. Before we get closed up here, I want to talk second half of the show a little bit about my experience at Louisville at Duke. Got to experience Cameron Indoor Stadium for the first time. Again, I want to thank Phil Dexter for the opportunity. Click right here, and I'm going to try to remember to put it in the little YouTube description box. Click up at the top to be able to see the draft chat episode I had with Phil where we talked tobacco road prospects, Duke, UNC, Wake Forest, NC State. So Thank you, Phil, once again. For real, I appreciate the opportunity to being able to cover this game, being able to be down on press row, get to watch Derek Lively, Tyrese Proctor, Mark Mitchell, who had a really good game. He was plus 17 in the game, and Derek Whitehead, who Coach Shire afterwards, speaking with the media, said that he thinks this was Derek's best game. Stat-wise, I couldn't agree less, but I think Derek looked confident. He looked like he was getting in the groove. The team as a whole is starting to gel and jive. You'll see as in the title Duke's Final Four potential, but do I think this team can make the Final Four? Small chance, but they can. It's definitely not the Duke team we expect, though. This is a very poor shooting team outside of Granderson and, depending on the day, someone else. But this really isn't a three-point Duke team, but they are shooting the three well on this 3-game win streak they have, heading home to play Virginia Tech. They just played Louisville last night as I'm recording this. But and then they have NC State at home before they go to North Carolina to finish the season off before the AC tournament. So they have a chance to go 6-0 down the stretch. And just seeing how this team played, they're definitely really good defensively. I have to give them, full props and credit for that. Mark Mitchell, Shire trusted him to be on the team's best player most of the time in this stretch here. I know L. Ellis had a really good game, Durham native. He was very, very excited to be there, and he says he always plays with a chip on his shoulder anytime he's in North Carolina, specifically in Durham because he's from Durham, which I thought was really neat. But trusting Mitchell to be on him, Ellis was going to have himself a game regardless. But lively shot blocking, NBA-wise, translation-wise for the draft. Like, I'll talk about it more on some draft chat episodes in the future. But Lively's NBA shot blocking is legit. It's there. It's 100%. Like, he only had 2 in the game, but he had probably 6 different times where they had to change where the ball was going or change directions on a drive because Lively was able to turn his body completely from one end of the restricted area to the other and be able to basically make up ground on the weak side completely. Like, it just, seeing that is just, it's insane to think, like, what a guy of that size and that stature and how quickly he can change and move and turn directions. Proctor, I was the most impressed by far. I don't care about the 4 for 13 shooting. He gave me some really great quotes afterwards, talking about the confidence that his team has in him and how they, despite the shooting, they were able to D up and basically control the game the rest of the way because of their defensive ability. So, and I couldn't agree more with him. His on-court leadership, even when Jeremy Roach, who's a junior, Tyrese being a freshman, but seeing his on-court leadership and just some of the way he looks through these pick and rolls and just his great passing towards the rim, being able to find those, Filipowskis and your Proctors, your Derek Lively's and your Mark Mitchells and guys going up for these lobs, being able to find them and being able to have the ability to know where they are at all times, understanding what you're doing with the ball is really, really impressive. I do think that he needs to figure out his awareness of screens. It seems like, I don't know if that's like the team I couldn't hear a couple of times, like on offense, they were in front of me on the first half, and I couldn't really hear them communicating on offense, but again, Cameron Indoor is one of the loudest. It's the loudest place I've ever been a part of or have ever been to and ever seen. So understandable if he couldn't have heard call-outs on screens, but it just seems like it consistently happens where he's not able to fight through screens or not able to know they're coming sometimes, which needs to be something that he can work on with his team. But it was cool to see like just how professional and how like smart and understanding of the game this guy has, communicating with officials during timeouts or coming back to the floor from timeouts in such a professional manner, and like not just being like, oh, you didn't see him pull on my shirt, you didn't see him foul me, and he's just grabbing, holding whatever. No, talking to him, understanding why they made the call, understanding what they might have done, what he could do differently, and just seeing those conversations up close is really, really awesome. I'm excited for Tyrese Proctor. I had him in the late first, early second throughout some of this cycle here, and I think the defense is 100% legit at 6'5". Passing ability is unbelievable. The three-point shot I'm not worried about. I think the form's there. I think the consistent work ethic is there. Seeing him work on it, it's 29% doesn't scare me. I think he'll be fine. Lively, like I said, the starting to see a little bit more action in the pick and roll. The shot blocking is legit. Understanding what he can be at the next level, I'm starting to get there a little bit. Again, I don't want to turn this into the draft prospect breakdown, but these are just some of the notes I got from these guys and how they're playing, and all of this ties together and that the team is really cohesive right now. They're playing together. They're playing really hard. You can see that chemistry being built. I believe one of the guys on the broadcast in the ACC, or it was the ESPN game, so the guy on the ESPN broadcast made a comment. It was like the ACC, even Louisville, who's 4-23, is playing their best basketball towards the end of the season. It's like, It's a great point. The ACC has always been a league where the teams get better, and that's why these games are so good down the stretch. Like I said, Duke's final games, home against Virginia Tech. They just played Louisville at home. They'll have NC State at home, and they'll have at North Carolina. All those games are going to be good regardless of their record. Even the Louisville game. Louisville took, I think it went up almost 9. I think it was 8 or 9 points in the first 8 minutes of the game, and Duke ended up going on a 20-6 run or something crazy like that. So seeing where they are and how Duke is playing, it all contributes to what Derrick's doing. It all contributes to what Derek's doing. It all contributes to what Tyrese is doing. Mark Mitchell, again, had a really great game. Just seeing his confidence as a scorer, seeing his confidence as a runner in transition, great rim finishing. His motor and IQ alone are going to be NBA level talent, but he plays super hard, and I really think the guy is really good. The Duke had a pretty commanding control of this game after the first 8 minutes, even despite Flip not really getting going that quickly. Unbelievable post work, especially on baseline and turns and stuff like that. He is a little slow to get back, and I want to see how Shire uses him down the stretch. And in terms of defensive ability, I think he's got some work to be desired there. But if they need him offensively on that floor in the final 4 minutes of a game, especially in tournament play, he's really, really important for them offensively. Louisville knew how to attack him yesterday, and I think that was a big difference maker. In terms of Final Four potential, I do think this team has a better Sweet 16 potential, quite frankly. But just seeing that team and how they were cohesive, regardless of Louisville, again, being 4-23, I understand that. But this Duke team is not your traditional Duke team, and I have to give credit to Shire, who I got to see earlier in the season against NC State and Raleigh, and I thought, man, the coaching seemed I had a lot of questions about the coaching. Seemed off, and I can see that he's getting comfortable. You can definitely tell. You got to give the guy time. Even talking to myself here, first year head coach, I really do believe in the future of this Duke program with Shire. By no means is it easy to replace Coach K. I get it, but who unfortunately wasn't in attendance on Monday, but still really cool to see kind of the house that he built there. That's what I want to close with. So I do think Duke can make the Sweet 16, and I do think that they have the potential, depending on matchups. They can be physical with anybody, and I do think if they're hot from three, then they can honestly play anybody and beat anybody. So I do think they have Sweet 16 Elite 8 potential, but do I think they make the Final Four? Probably not. I do want to close before I do want to close with my my thoughts around Cameron Indoor as a fan. I'm going to geek out for a minute just because I want to be very clear. I was talking to a guy from one of the Louisville beats, and I heard him make a comment to somebody in the stands about it being his first time. He's only 4 days or 4 games on the beat for Louisville, and he's already checking off Cameron as a bucket list item. Man, I have lived here my whole life, 25 years, going to basketball games, and I have never experienced anything like I experienced on Monday. As a fan, as a media member, as an enjoyer of basketball, as somebody who is, and I've always said I was an NBA historian, but just in general, cares about the history of the ACC. It's rooted here in my backyard, right? Tobacco Road, it matters. I grew up an NC State fan, right? I understand the history of the ACC with Everett Case and Norm Sloan and Press Maravich and Coach K and Roy Williams and Dean Smith and Bones McKitty. Wake Forest, got to give Wake Forest a shout out, right? I understand all the history of that. And being in that building last night, I had this just almost an overwhelming feeling, right? Getting to experience it and see it, be in the room, hear Shire and how he processes the game and what it's like for him. He's always so humble and so honest about how it is for Duke and how it is for him and that experience there. It is literally basketball royalty. That whole place, the environment, the fans, the people I met, every person I met was super, super nice. It was my first time being there ever. Even more so, first time being there in an environment like that, and in a media environment for me, which was very, very abnormal. I honestly am speechless, and I am still processing everything, and I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity. Obviously, really, really big thanks to Phil Dexter, but really, really big thanks to you guys. I would not be in the position I'm in, being able to give you this coverage and things like that. And if you wanted to see, what it's like on those floors and being able to talk to those people and hear the best upfront on the floor analysis you can get, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on social medias, Instagram, Twitter's the main place. So you're going to see that content whenever I'm there. Plenty of opportunities here in Tobacco Road with Wake Forest, NC State, Duke, and North Carolina. And it's great basketball. It's great history. And just all in all, the Cameron Indoor experience, I mean, there is no place like it. There is no comparable to have that many amount of seats, to be able to see every single person in their face from where I was sitting on the floor on that basket side, to be able to just look up across from me and be able to see all the way to the roof and see the people in the very back, seat of that top highest row, and just understand that they can see just as easily there as I can see on it's crazy. And I will never take this experience for granted. I will never take the opportunity I get to be able to cover this for granted. Huge shout out and thank you to Phil Dexter. He's going to get sick of me saying thank you. I've already told him a million times. But also a huge shout out to Duke University and everybody there in the men's basketball program. It was an unbelievable experience, and Duke is a beautiful representation of what basketball means to ACC, to this area, just in general to the country. So I honestly could probably write a book on my experience there, but I want to say thank you to you guys 100%. This is just me pouring out and making sure you know how thankful and how appreciative I am of this opportunity to be able to cover it on that regard, and be able to get some really good, especially for me draft prospect wise, to be able to see these guys up close. I really got a better understanding of Tyrese Proctor's game. I came away thinking Tyrese Proctor's a first round pick. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that right now. Mark Mitchell was absolutely a second round draftable player, contrary to the 60 days ago feelings that I had. Derek Lively, I'm starting to buy into the shot blocking, but it's legit. It's there. Like, it is 100% NBA shot blocking. And then y'all know, you saw January 1st, Dariq Whitehead was my fourth best player on my board, and I'm still in on a Dariq Whitehead being an NBA player, especially defensively. I got to see that yesterday. I'm in. I'm still in for the ride. I think Dariq's good. I think he's getting his footing back. He was very, very clear in his interview with me. He is still figuring out his footing and still getting back to fully healthy, and I appreciate his honesty and transparency with that. But for him to play his best game, according to his coach, it's only up from here for Dariq Whitehead and the Blue Devils. So, again, thank you very much. And I'll keep ranting if not. Otherwise, I'll say thank you and get out of here soon. So, don't forget, 2-pointers, $20 off SeatGeek, the link in the description below, to be able to take advantage of that offer and that deal. First time purchase, $20 off that. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Let me know your thoughts on anything I talked about today, the NBA All-Star Game, the Duke Blue Devils' chance at making the Sweet 16 Final Four, whatever you think they fall in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe this episode. Follow 2-pointers on all social media platforms. Everything is linked in the description below. As well as don't forget to check out last week's episode with Michigan State guard Maurice Agger, talking about his history with Tom Izzo, his thoughts on some of the tragic events that have happened in East Lansing over the last couple of weeks. Definitely check that out. Super, super great interview. Thank you, Maurice, for coming on. Otherwise, I think I've said everything I need to. It's been a really, really overwhelming couple of days, but I wanted to make sure that I got you guys this to be able to talk some of the things that have happened in the basketball world. Draft chat with Stephen Gillespie will be out on Friday. By the time you're hearing this, it will be out the end of the week on Friday. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for sticking through this rant. I greatly appreciate all the support, and I wouldn't be able to do this without all of your likes, comments, subscribes, and your support. So thank you very much. This has been the 2-Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor Everett. I'm just grateful to be doing this.